When Alexander the Great became basically king of the world, he was the king of Greece, but he established Greek as the universal language for the world, which meant that everybody spoke Greek. Now, if you'll remember, when Israel was sent into exile, they were sent into exile by the Assyrians, and the Babylonians exiled Judah. As a result, Jews began to be dispersed throughout the whole world. And so the Hebrew language started to die. It started to become extinct. And so there was a movement that said that we needed the scriptures in a language that we can read and understand. And so 72 men got together and they bought and copied all the known sacred books that were out there and began the process of translating the Hebrew Bible into Greek. And their work became known as the Septuagint. We do have many of the codices that were established over time. And so, first of all, we have the Codex Vaticanus. It gets its name from the fact that it is held at the Vatican. Then we also have the Codex Sinaiticus. The Codex Sinaiticus has a story attached to it. It was found by Count Tischendorf in 1859. There's a monastery that sits at the foot of Mount Sinai, and Count Tischendorf had went to this monastery because they were renowned for having rare antiquities and rare books, old books. And so he was looking through their collection, and he looked over in the garbage bin, and there sat a copy of a manuscript. And so he pulls it out, he begins to look at it. As he is looking at it, he discovers that it is scripture. So he talks to the head of the monastery, and they agree to let him take the book for further study and translation. There's a miscommunication that happens between Tischendorf and the monastery. Tischendorf is under the understanding that they are giving him the manuscript, and the monastery is under the understanding that they are loaning him the manuscript. It could have been easily rectified and taken care of, except for the fact that Tischendorf had gifted this codex to the Tsar of Russia. And so, therefore, there's still a legal battle going on today over the ownership of this codex. Then we have Codex Alexandrinus. It was found in Alexandria. The Orthodox Church was one of the ones who found this, but it is in England now. Then we have Ephraemi Rescriptus Codex. It's interesting because it is a translation on top of a translation. They put two translations on top of each other, and it becomes very difficult to read and see, but it's very significant. And then we have the Bezae Codex. The Bezae Codex is important because it is the only codex that was available to the King James translators when they were putting together the King James Version. Now, down the other end of the hall, we have a group of people, as we said. Greek was becoming the predominant language, and Hebrew was starting to become extinct, starting to go away. And so a group of people decided that they wanted to preserve the beauty and the history of the Hebrew language. And those people were called the Masoretes. The Masoretes got together, and they created the system in which would preserve the Hebrew language. They began to write the scriptures, and they would put them in vocalization and cantillization marks as well. And one of the reasons they did that is because most of the Old Testament is written in a poetic form. And the prophets, almost all the prophets are written poetically. And so, just like any poetry, there's a rhythm and a rhyme to them. There's a syntax, a flow to it. And without these marks, we would not know how it was supposed to sound. Also, as well, is that they would have a system in which one person would have a major copy of the scripture or have the original, and they would begin to count the letters of his page. And then everybody was to count the letters of their page. If it did not match up whatsoever, they were to tear them up, throw them away, and start all over. Made for a very long process, but also made it in such a way that we had a very accurate copy of the original. Some of the Masorete codexes that we have with codices is the Codex Quirinius. It is 575 pages, it has 13 carpet pages in it. It was created in 897 AD. They didn't discover it until 1983. Then you have the Aleppo Codex. It has an interesting story to it because the Aleppo Codex was held in Syria. And in 1947, when Israel became a nation, once again, the people of Syria started to destroy everything that was Jewish. And the Aleppo Codex was there, and they were seeking it out to destroy it. And several men got together and wanted to smuggle this codex out of Syria. So as they were smuggling the codex out of Syria, it was complete. It had everything in it. But by the time it finally made it to Jerusalem, the Torah was missing. Nobody knows what has happened to the Torah of the Aleppo Codex. It was hidden there and then was rediscovered in 1989. Then we have the Leningrad Codex. The Leningrad Codex was written around 1008 to 1010 AD. The most interesting thing about the Leningrad Codex, number one, it is complete. It has the whole scripture in it, but it also has 16 carpet pages. And scholars do not know the reason for these carpet pages. 15 of the 16 carpet pages are all scripture that is written in the intricate designs. And the very first page is the cover page. Around the edges of it are names of all the people who worked on this codex. And in the middle is a blessing that they wrote, asking God to bless their work. As you'll see on several of the carpet pages, that you'll see the Star of David. And this is the first time in recorded history in which the Star of David is used in association with Israel.